Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the all-new 2023 Mazda CX-50. This is the turbo with the Premium Plus package, finished off in ingot blue metallic. We'll touch base on the MSRP once we get this out on the road, so that way we can cover all the specs and features for this SUV. Let's start off with what powers this turbo. This has a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder with that turbocharger paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission. It pumps out 227 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent through the all-wheel drive system. This weighs in just over 3,900 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds with a top speed of 125 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 15.9 gallons. You'll expect to see around 23 miles per gallon in the city, 29 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 110.8 inches. Its overall length is 185.8. It has a width of 75.6, a height of 63.9, and its ground clearance measures in at 8.6 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this CX-50, let's start off with this unique grille, because you'll notice that the lower surround for it, which is finished off in gloss black, actually works its way to the sides, where you can see the LED headlight housings have a sunken in look. There's also bodywork just above that too, to give it a very unique and distinctive design to it. There's plenty of cutouts in this grille too, with the Mazda badge and the forward-facing camera. There's parking sensors running throughout the middle, plenty of cutouts in that lower section, as well as the mesh inlets on both sides. And then some very nice lines coming down the hood. There's also a sensor up front for the adaptive cruise, so it definitely has a very bold and distinctive front end design to it. Now, being the top trim level for this CX-50, we have 20-inch wheels with the two-tone design multi-spoke pattern. And then you will notice that the fender arches as well as the lower side skirts are finished off in plastic, which match with the lower section of that front bumper. Now for the mirrors, these are finished off in gloss black, but they have the camera system as well as the integrated turn signal. This has a full moonroof. You will notice that the window trim is blacked out. However, there is some brush trim on that very back section, which also matches the roof racks too. And then some more subtle lines running down the side. You can see that distinctive one going just at the height and then right underneath that rear door handle, with another line making its way to that taillight section. Now for the rear, this has a body colored spoiler with the brake light, wiper blade. This has LED taillights too. There's the backup camera with all these sensors, and then in the lower section you can see that dual exhaust as well as some more brush trim which matched up front. Now this also has a towing capacity right around 3,500 pounds, which is surprising for this type of vehicle. Now to make our way to the cargo space, I can use the button on the key fob or the one up underneath, and of course that will automatically open up, where there's actually a lot of space for any items that you would like to place in the back. There's a storage cubby on that driver's side, same with on the passenger side, and you even have access to the spare tire with a little bit more storage if you need to place some items up underneath. You can actually lift the entire panel up. And then you can also fold down these back seats. You can do that from back here just by pulling on this tab. You will see that side collapse. You can do that for the other side, of course, and that gives you a lot more interior space for this size. It makes it extremely practical. Now up top with the power liftgate, you can close and lock it. The one on that right side will just close it. It does it very quickly too. Now as we work our way to the back seats, you can't actually lock and unlock it, so you do have to have the vehicle already locked in order to, or unlocked in order to gain access to the rear. Now for the door panel, it is very simple. We have some nice materials, the release handle, window control. This even has the 12-speaker Bose audio sound system, and there's a little bit of storage space in the lower section of that door. Now from this perspective, you can see with the seat folded down, that gives you a lot more space. You can quickly lock that up into place, where you'll see a nice pattern to these seats with all the orange stitching. And at 5'10", I can work my way into the back seat, where I have a good amount of space. You will see plenty of room for my feet and my legs. And then right in the middle, there are the climate adjustments. This even has heated rear seats, which is a plus to see. There's some auxiliaries in the lower section there, and then a storage pocket over on that passenger side. Now, as far as headroom goes, I have around 1 inch or so above my head. These seats do not recline, so it is fixed in this position right here. And it's really not all that bad. I could definitely be comfortable riding around the back of this vehicle. Right in the middle, we do have that armrest as you saw earlier with 2 cup holders in it. And then a look at visibility from the back seats. We have that pillar there, which a lot of vehicles have a similar design to them, but you can easily see around that entire area with the windows on both sides. Now, as we work our way to the driver door panel, you will see a little bit more materials with the stitching just above all the window adjustments. We have the power folding side mirrors, lock and unlock, even more storage space in that lower section. And then a similar design to these front seats, which are heated and ventilated as well. We have all of the automatic adjustments down on the side, along with the memory seating adjustments. Those are tucked away on the left side of the steering wheel there. And it is just as easy to enter these front seats, where we can move onto the steering wheel, which is completely covered in solid black leather. On this left side, you will notice we have volume as well as tuning. There's also a Bluetooth and voice commands. And then on the right side, there's cruise, adaptive cruise, even the steering assist. But let's fire this up to go over the rest of the controls. With my foot on the brake, we can bring this to life. And looking at the gauge cluster, you will see we have a simple layout with the tach on the left side. On the right side, you will see the fuel level as well as engine temperature. And then right in the middle, miles per hour is in the upper section. And on both sides of that, you can see a live readout for MPG as well as the range until empty. Now to go through the rest of that info, there's the info button over on the left side of the steering wheel. So if I push on that once, now you can see the speedometer pop up. If I go on it one more time, you'll see some driving information. There's also the distance pacing that you can monitor. And then we are back to the miles per hour there. So not a whole lot of information, but it is nice that you can pull those up depending on which one you are going to be using. Now also over on this left side, above the memory seating adjustments, you will notice that we have the blind spot, which you can turn on and off. There's also iStop, which is basically the engine start stop. Traction control and parking sensors. There's also the rear liftgate release. And then if I click on the view icon, that will pull up with the camera system in the infotainment system. So currently you can see the rear view camera along with that top-down view. If I push on it again, now we have a different angle that you can see along with the camera angles from the side view mirrors. So it's nice that you can pull that up, and it will pop up when you first start up the vehicle. I'm not sure if that is a setting or not, but it is nice to have that so you can see clearly around you. Now there's also one air vent. This does have the head-up display. Currently it is just showing miles per hour, but you can see a few more items when you have this out on the road and driving. Now if we come back to the infotainment system, this is not a touchscreen system. So in order to go through that, we have everything located down below. With shortcuts to navigation and music, there's a home icon with the rotary dial and then the back arrow. So currently this is on music. If I click on navigation, now that will pull the map up. And then if we go to the home icon, you can use that rotary dial to further go through all of these settings. So we have some information that you can monitor as needed. You can go into your radio along with your phone, pull up that navigation again. And then the last one is for settings. So when you go into settings, of course, you have all this general information that you can set up just depending on what you would like to see. So it is a fairly simple system, but it gives you everything that you need to use this on a daily basis. Now on the right side of that, we do have the adjustment for power and volume for the radio, as well as tuning. And then there's a favorites button just behind that. Now I will say for the tuning on this, we have the scrolling dial, of course, for the volume like I just mentioned. But in order to use the tuning, you do have to hold this for about 2 or 3 seconds, either to the left or the right, in order to change stations. It would be nice to see if you could push on a button and actually use this to scroll through tuning rather than sitting and holding it. So just a minor thing to talk about with that dial there, but it is still very nice to use. And then underneath that, you will see there's one air vent with some trim going all the way to that passenger side. We have more of that leather and stitching just underneath that. And right in the middle, these are all the climate adjustments. So we have the scrolling dials on both sides for your temperature. You can see fan speed, where you like the air to go, front and rear defrosters. And then underneath that, we have the heated steering wheel control, as well as the heated and ventilated seats, which is nice to see. So it's a very simple layout and very easy to use at the same time. Now underneath that, you will see a 12 volt, a little bit of storage space in front of 2 cup holders. And then as we look at the shifter now with the release in the front, if I put this into reverse, you will see that backup camera appear as I already showed. you can go down into drive and then pop it into the manual settings. So that allows you to use this shifter, or you can actually use the steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. So either way, if you need to do that, you have the ability to use those. Of course, they are functional. To the left of that, we have the different driving modes. So there's 3 different driving modes. There's off-road, normal, and sport mode. So of course, sport mode and off-road will modulate the throttle response as well as the all-wheel drive system, just depending on the terrain, of course. Also located on this side, we have the electronic parking brake along with the auto hold. And then for the center armrest, this does have the split design to it. So you do have to push on each side to open this up, where you can reveal the wireless charging pad as well. You don't have to have this open in order to gain access to that, however. And then for the armrest, there's even some auxiliaries down below to give you some additional space. Now, as you can see, that wireless charging pad is just underneath the front section of that armrest. And then as we work our way to the glove box, you can see there is plenty of room for all of that information. And like I mentioned earlier, we have the adjustment right in the middle to open up the full panoramic sunroof. So that way you can get a lot of light to this interior. There's the dome lights on both sides. This even has a sunglass holder, which is very convenient to have. And we'll take one look at visibility from this driver's seat. So we do have a good amount of visibility, even with those pillars in the back. As we set off now behind the wheel for this CX-50, this has an MSRP right around $42,000, and that's the top trim level. So we are in the fully loaded version for the CX-50. So you can go with lower trim levels if you'd like to, but for right around 40 grand, this is a very nice SUV. What I like about the interior is that it's very simple, but it gives you the tech that you need. Most of the important tech that you need, like the distance pacing, adaptive cruise, you have your heated and ventilated seats. It gives you what you're looking for to be comfortable on a daily basis without going overboard. One thing in that technology though that I will critique slightly is the fact that the infotainment system is not touchscreen. I think it should definitely be touchscreen. However, with this design, it's pretty far from the driver. So at 5'10", you know, I'm not small, but I'm not the tallest person either. I can't even reach it sitting comfortably in the seat. So it's nice that you have these adjustments to go through it. And at the same time too, there's not a lot to have to go through by using these physical controls. So again, very simple, but gives you what you need, including navigation, which is nice. So it has a simple vibe on the interior, but it's practical if you're just looking for more of a simple kind of vehicle, but with a pretty cool exterior. It's definitely bold from the exterior styling, but the inside, lots of storage space too, but it's nice to use all of these buttons. Everything is laid out extremely well. So I do like the simplicity of it, and for the price, I think it's at a good price point with what is available. Now, other competitors to the CX-50, you have the Toyota RAV4, you have the Kia Sportage, which might be a little bit smaller. The Telluride is going to be a little bit bigger, so it's kind of in between both of those. And then you also have the Volkswagen Tiguan, which I actually just had before this was dropped off. I'm actually working on a comparison video between both of those because they have a similar MSRP. So there are a few options out there, just depending on what you would like. But now let's pop it into a sport mode from second gear. Let's give it some gas. Not bad. Paddles are surprisingly responsive. So if you need to use those, it's interesting to see a 6-speed in this. I feel like maybe it could be an 8-speed, maybe a little bit more. But the 6-speed has been very smooth driving so far. And it's pretty cool to see that this can tow 3,500 pounds. That, to me, that seems like much higher. The Volkswagen that I just had could only tow about 1,500. So it's pretty cool to see that. If you're looking for something where you don't tow often, but maybe you need to borrow a trailer to buy something that obviously won't fit, you can do that in this CX-50. So it's a pretty good all-around vehicle. All-wheel drive is going to give you that extra traction you need in inclement weather. So it would be a perfect daily driver. It is so comfortable and smooth to drive too. Even with a truck coming and under acceleration, it's nice. It's a nice place to be And then from second gear, I give it a slight acceleration. Very peppy for this turbo engine. I think it has a good bit of response to it. Now I am in sport mode, so that is of course why it's a little bit more crisper. But for a 0-60 time in the mid 6-second range, it's not bad for an acceleration like that. It definitely has plenty of get up and go to it with over 300 pound-feet of torque. It's a peppy little vehicle, or smaller size SUV. But again, right around 40K, a little bit more for this model. I think it's a good option. We have a super comfortable vehicle. There's no suspension settings, but the suspension that it has been absorbing the roads that I've been on very nicely. And so this is definitely a good commuter vehicle. You're just getting from point A to point B. You don't need anything fancy, but you want a good looking vehicle. You want something that's going to be reliable and give you what you are looking for. And on a plus, the MPG is pretty decent for a 4-cylinder. There's a couple interesting design elements on the interior as well. We have one air vent dead center on that passenger side. Now obviously there's one tucked away over there, but it's interesting to see only one in that entire bar there, with the nav system a little bit farther back, inset in that dash there. It's an interesting design. It could be brought forward, in my opinion, maybe add a touch screen to that system as well, but very minor points, especially for the price point and everything else that is available. But I think that is going to wrap it up for this walk-around review and test drive behind the wheel of the all-new Mazda CX-50. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.